It's after the ball, and a beautiful spring night in Minnesota. The moon is high, and Maynard Ferguson has colored it scarlet, orange, and gold. Maynard, been watching you now and observing you both in California, mid-continent, East Coast, and I wonder what it is that makes a leader in a band go round. In short, what is it that stimulates the other musicians, and, well, how do you define leadership in this business?
Well, I once heard it defined, and I think it's probably proper. I don't even know who first said it, but it has to do with the fact that every band or large group, or I suppose small group, tends to emulate the personality of its leader, every successful one. And if you think about the charm of a Duke Ellington orchestra, if you think about the incredibly unimposing yet great swing content of Count Basie's band, and the magnanimous thing of the Canton band, and I think that and so on, and I think in my case I'm just an incredible show-off.
That by osmosis doesn't bring the best of the Eastman School into your band and other very highly skilled and talented musicians who seem to stay with you for a long period of time. So aside from your modesty, what is it that you think stimulates the young musician you work with?
Well, I think the fact that we have an ability to get to the young people and to be able to show what adventure we get into as far as the older jazz fan that's about my age. And he begins to understand that I'm really thrilled with what I'm doing right now. And so it's a matter of communication. I think that the great American art form of jazz and jazz rock and whatever Indian influences I have and all that, I think it's the true spiritual thing of communication between men, because men and women, because there's very few vocals on our band, you may notice, and we send a message out there that's pure vibrations, because it's all sound, and not unlike a symphony orchestra, in a sense that there are certain people that are rather insensitive, season ticket holders will say to a symphony orchestra, and then there are those that say, I liked that and I didn't care for that, and as long as they don't go away writing a review of it, I think they're beautiful people who have an understanding of what that symphony orchestra is doing. In our case, what we do is we make sure that we really enjoy what we're doing. And then we work with it. We don't stay married to one way of playing a composition. If a month after we've even recorded it, we think of something that's a more inspiring direction on a certain portion of a composition, we change it. And sometimes we change it right on the spot, because, of course, not unlike the Indian musician, we're, I suppose, 60 to 70% improvisers. And I think that's where the adventure lies, in what makes a band have a lot of spirit, and that communicates to our audiences, like the one we witnessed tonight, where they not everybody out there, even the music student, really knows what I went to before I went to the D minor seventh, and that it truly is not important. What is really important is, did it turn you on or did it turn you off? And that's all that really matters in music. That's whether it's a string quartet, and I'm not really interested in picking apart whether the viola player was slightly behind at letter B in his entrance during the 6/8 bar in whatever. I'm only interested in, when I listen, boy, do I try to forget what I know. Because the knowledge of the looking at the printed music and the knowledge of reading music in any music form is the great art of mathematics. And but what comes from your soul and your heart and your mind, of course, is what it's all about. Whether your name happens to be John Coltrane or Yehudi Menuhin, it's the same ball game.
It isn't just a matter of perfection, is it? In other words, I could say, how would you and Arturo Toscanini have fared in a rehearsal together?
Well, I had one great line that I can draw on that, and that is I did do 4 performances as a guest soloist with the New York Philharmonic with Bernstein conducting, and Vacchiano then was the great lead trumpet player with the New York Orchestra, and he's retired now and is teaching fantastic trumpet player. And there was this new work by Bill Russo, who'd won the Koussevitzky Award, and so I was guest soloist on the first half of the program, and Isaac Stern was on the second half, and it was a very demanding solo for me, and it required a lot of precision and no warm-up. I just had to come in strong on the 4th movement of this symphony called The Titans, which Russo had written and had me in mind for the entire last section, which is very hard for me to sit still with a tuxedo on at Carnegie Hall for 3 movements and then suddenly pick up my horn and play 5 notes going up to a double high C, which was clearly written double forte. And when I played it at rehearsal, Mr. Bernstein, as soon as I hit the double C, said, "Marvelous. Now, I wonder if we could hear that softly, please." And I didn't really want to tell him how much harder it was to play a double high C soft and loud, but besides that, you know, and it's very funny, but only a jazz musician has the freedom to really look at Mr. Bernstein for the first time ever working with him, or anybody, and just say, "Hey, excuse me, man, but it's definitely says double forte, man," and that's kind of the way I figured on playing it, you know. And instead of any, and there was this good God and intake of breaths from the string section, while he just smiled and said, "I'll be damned, it is double forte." And with that, Vacchiano turned around in a loud voice, the lead trumpet player for the New York Philharmonic, and said, "Hey, fellas, we're not going to be able to skate through this weekend. When it says double 40, we're going to have to go to work." And because for years, symphony orchestras, brass sections have, under certain conductors, never really played double forte, but have really been tremendous at playing triple piano, which is quite a challenge to us, because I think their pianissimos are certainly softer than ours in symphony orchestras, because we play a higher velocity playing in our kind of music, and the control of air and everything. I mean, I do hatha yoga, breathing exercise, and all that to in order to sustain this thing. And I just enjoyed the humor of Vacchiano, who's been one of the great all-time lead trumpet players in symphony orchestras for years. You know, so it's just a different ball game, but the ball games do cross over and come together in beautiful ways, because those were 4 very successful concerts, caused all kinds of controversy, and but we all enjoyed doing them.
Maynard Ferguson, thank you for sharing those stories about your rehearsals with Leonard Bernstein and the New York Philharmonic. One thought before you leave. You've broken precedents in the music business by appointing Kim Ferguson as manager, vice president of administration, which is a tremendous responsibility. This is quite a job for a young lady.
Well, I tell you what, she's quite a young lady, and of course she's my daughter, and but she really has done a tremendous job, and the men just adore her, and yet they have a lot of respect for her, and I think that's what's really important, is that they understand words respect and the creative thing within it, and also they understand my feelings, as Kim does too, that this whole music thing should be a thing of fun and joy, whether you're doing something from the Primal Scream album, or whether you're doing something from classical music, or whatever you're doing in your music. If it's a thing of fun and joy, it's right, and you should do it. And you should do it with that thing in mind, or you should get out.
Maynard Ferguson, thank you.
Thank you.